All right, let's go over your initial budget. This is a quick worksheet that's just going to lay everything out so that you have an idea of what your expenses, what your revenue is, what your initial startup costs are going to be, what your operating costs are going to be, those kinds of things. All right. Nothing too crazy. Don't overthink this. This isn't something that needs to be deadly accurate down to the dime. The more the better. We want to know about the cost. We want to know what's going on, but it's okay if everything's not exact. We'll get there. The better information you have, the more we can deal with, but we'll get there when we get there. So let's start with what we know. We'll go over everything. It all calculates on its own. I built it so that you just have to pump the numbers in. Right now, obviously, I got $10, $2. They're just placeholders to make sure all the algorithms are working. So you'll put your information in here, fill everything out. It'll start to calculate itself at the bottom in some of the forms and give us some of the answers we're looking for. So let's go over this. We're going to go over it like I'm the landscaping company and we're just doing a simple lawn mowing service for now, and we'll just kind of lay everything out and look at it. So the first thing is this little table here. This is your startup cost. This is going to be your business formation, your legal fees. What did it cost for your LLC? Have you started that yet? What is it going to cost? Let's say in this state it's a $75 fee, right? So $75 for that. And then your equipment and vehicle purchase as well. I have a little truck. I'm just going to buy a lawnmower, right? This is going to be your larger purchases. You can see down here we have other tools, supplies, things like that. But as far as equipment goes, your major equipment. Do you have any heavy equipment? Do you need vehicles? Do you need, if you're a carpet cleaning company, do you need the carpet cleaning setup with the vacuum, the extractor, all those things? What are those initial costs? We don't need a vehicle. We just need a lawnmower. We're going to buy a decent lawnmower. We're going to buy it for $500. And then our initial inventory is supplies. So in the lawn care company, that's going to be your weed whacker lines, your gas cans, any of those things that you'll need to get set up that you'll need on the job that you don't have, right? Pruning shears, anything you might be doing extra. With this being a lawn care company that's just doing grass mowing right now, all we really need is a lawnmower, some gas cans. Okay, maybe we're going to do edging. So in our equipment, we have our edger in there, and we just need to do some weed whacker line, whatever it is. Right? Then your marketing and advertising. Okay, what is your initial budget going to be? Are you doing just flyers, paper flyers, mailers, things like that? Are you going to pay someone to build advertisements for you? Are you going to run advertisements on Facebook? That could be ones that you create, but you pay $5, $10, $15 a day for them to advertise for you. So what is your initial advertising budget going to be? Let's say that we're going to do paper flyers. We're going to do $50 worth of paper flyers. Okay. And then insurance and liability. This is your initial startup cost. There's going to be some added costs, or sometimes they roll those in, but there are going to be initial startup costs for your liability insurance, your workman's comp if you're going to have employees. Let's say this is $150 for now. And then your office supplies. The biggest one that comes to mind for me is QuickBooks on this one. If you're going to be, operating out of your home for now, you're a one-man band, but you still have QuickBooks, then QuickBooks would be one of your major one. Let's say that we're signed up for their cheap one, so it's $20 a month. All right, so your property. Are you going to rent property? Again, is it just you and you're just working out of your house for now? What is that going to be? Let's say that there is no cost here, so we'll just say $0. And then any miscellaneous costs that you might have. If you're in a specific industry that maybe some of these things aren't labeled, maybe there is some kind of other initial startup cost or secondary fee that you might need to apply. That's where you can put this. We're just going to put $0 for that right now. So as you can see, our estimated startup cost is $805 here. So keep that. We use that down below. Move on. This is our monthly operating costs, all right? So this is everything you're going to need after your initial startup costs that every month you're going to need to keep your doors open and operate your business. So the first one is your rent. Again, are you going to have a space? Are you going to move into a space eventually? Anything like that. So if you have a rent, you'd put that here. Are you going to have employees? Are you going to start off with yourself? Or are you going to have one or two employees? Like I said, for mine, no employees, so we're $0. Fuel and maintenance. My little truck, we'll say, monthly expense for fuel, $150. Utilities. Again, if you're working out of your house, this might be something you already pay for as far as your wireless. A lot of stuff you can write off now for this, but as far as the cost goes, if you're not starting a business front, if you're not going to have computers and internet and all those things that you need at a business where you're paying for that cost separately, then that's where you would put the cost here. But for us, it's going to be $0. Marketing and advertising. Are you going to continue, obviously, marketing and advertising? Are you going to do paper mailers? Or are you going to, again, have somebody start to create things for you? This is where you could maybe have a lighter ongoing expense. Maybe you have initial startup campaign and then you just do a good job and mostly word of mouth advertising for you, depending on how fast you want to grow. Or maybe you want to spend $50 a month on, your advertising. Office supplies, again, your software, your monthly fee. So we'll say QuickBooks is $20 a month. Insurance, your monthly premium. How much are you for if you have the workman's comp and the liability, your workman's comp, how many employees do you have, those kinds of things. So we'll say monthly premium for this, we'll say $200 a month. And then your miscellaneous expenses. Again, anything, obviously we have fuel listed, but anything that you may need special, again, if you're a carpet cleaning company and you need the carpet cleaning supplies, things like that, anything miscellaneous that you might need that isn't accounted for in this list. So our monthly operating costs are $420. So we got an initial startup of $805 and then a monthly operating of $420. So then we move on to our revenues and projections. This one's around that we have service packages. Now yours could be a hourly charge. It could be a different price structure. You can change these out. They add up. But for this one, we're going to do cleaning and mowing. We're going to say, well, yeah, my company does a mow for $75 a service, right? But we don't offer any extended services right now because we're just a small company. It's just me, and all I do is mow lawns, right? I know starting up this month that I have Betty the neighbor and I have another client, Paul, who's just a few doors down. Those two clients, they're going to have me come and mow their lawn twice a month. So how many times on average am I going to provide this service? Twice a month, once a month, 4 times a month, might be every 2 months, whatever it is. And then how many clients we plan on having. So I'm going to service 2 clients 2 times a month at $75, which is going to give me $300 a month of income. So now if you look at this, our operating costs here at $420 and our income's $300. Obviously that's not going to work very well. So let's say that we are going to have 2 services a month, but we've already got a bunch of people lined up, friends and family, and we're going to have 15 clients a month. Now, all of a sudden, we're making $2,250 a month, right? So then we're going to go on to your cash flow forecast. So your cash flow forecast is broken down into 12 months so that if your business is a seasonal business and it's again, lawn mowing, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything in the winter. It might be that if my month 1 is August, September, and October, I might do good and make money. Then November, December, January, February, I make practically nothing. March, April, May, June, and July are all slowly on the climb. So you can use this to fine tune your monthly cash flow, or it might just be straight. You might just have the same 4 or 5 customers for the same dollar amount, and these are all identical. This is more helpful. All 12 months is more helpful if you do have a seasonal business or you have a business that you're running already and you know that it is seasonal or it does change in your revenue, and you can lay this out and it's going to give you your averages for everything, which is nice. It's going to give you your average revenue, your expenses, your cash flow, all down below, and then it'll give you an idea of what your cumulative cash flow is. So as you see here, my estimated monthly revenue, this is going to be this dollar amount here to start. So our estimated monthly is $2,250, right? And then you have your total monthly expenses, which for us is going to be $420 a month, right? So that means our net is $1,830 a month. Now, if you continue that down and that's all you're going to do for The year is 12 months of 2,250, but let's say that this is August. So we'll say August and September, we still mow lawns, we're still doing good. But then in October, maybe that's cut in half and we're making 1225 for October. November, December, January, February, we make $0. Then in March, we're going to make that 1225. April, we'll make that 1225. And then May, we're back up to full on operating cost and we're making 2250. So now in theory, your monthly expenses will change a little bit if you're not operating. You're not going to have gas expenses, everything like that. Just for the sake of time, for me, I'm just going to leave them the same and say that I still have people employed and I'm still doing stuff. Or let's do this. Let's say I just completely close my doors here. I don't do any advertising. I don't do anything over the winter months, which would be ridiculous, but it'll make it simple for us. So only when we operate do we have that operating cost, which really isn't realistic. If you want, what we could do is we could move this down and we could say, okay, so 420, but during the winter, we just maintain a budget of $200 a month where we are in the hole, but we got to do certain things to keep our doors open for the summer month. So what's nice here when you have it broken up like this is you can look at your cumulative. So you can see that, in that month of August, you can label these if you want. For the month of August, you make good money. So August, September, you're making awesome. You're still ahead. October, doing good. And then you get into that November, and it starts eating away. And so that when you get back here and you start making money again, you're starting to get in the hole. But according to our business plan, we're doing all right. As you go down through it, the cumulative at the end of the year is that 89.35. So your average yearly income is going to be 89.37, right? Barring any other expenses, which should all be listed here. Now, if you look here, this will give you an idea of, on average, because you have the 12 months, you're making about $1,243 revenue a month. But your expenses are averaging about $346 because of these lower months. So that gives you an idea of what your average costs are, kind of like equal pay when you pay for your utilities. This gives you an idea of, we need to make at least this much each month to come out where we plan on coming out. We need to spend less than this much a month to come out where we plan on coming out. Okay. So leaves you your net, which is really how much you're going to make after all of this. And that $744 is your average monthly cost, which then all of that stuff is going to get brought down here for us. And these are all filled out. So your break-even point is your startup cost, which is we determined 805, total monthly operating cost of 420, and then our monthly revenue at full capacity. So this is going to be taken from this top table here, because if you're a new company, we don't really actually know what your monthly revenue is. So this is basically your first monthly projected revenue that we created here. We've brought it down into this, and then same thing, we're going to use our initial, hopefully we'll make more money over time, not less money. We'll make our initial revenue down here into our monthly revenue at full capacity. And that's going to tell us how long it's going to take us to break even. So I've made our company so successful. I've given it so many customers that this is only 0.44 months, right? So typically 6, 8, 12, 14 months, 24 months, whatever it is, depending on, are you buying trucks? Are you buying big equipment? Things like that. This is going to change drastically depending on your income and your expenses. But in this fake company that I've made up, we're really successful. And so in just basically a half a month, we're going to break even and start making money. We won't be in debt anymore. So that's incredible. So your capital requirements, this is going to be your total startup cost plus 3 months of your operating costs. So what is it going to cost to open the doors and operate for that first 3 months, right? So in this case, we figured out our startup cost, 805, plus the 3 months at 1260, which means that our total funding needed for the first 3 months is going to be 2,065. So our profit and loss is just our total revenue, which is that 14,925 that we made here, over the year, and then our startup costs and our operating costs over the year, right? So our startup cost is that flat amount, that 805, but then our operating costs over the year is that 4160. So our net profit at the end of the year, in theory, according to our initial budget, should be $9,960. So the reason this is important is it lays out everything you need as far as your budget, as far as your costs to go into your executive summary. Again, this is even more important if you're going and you're asking for money, right? You're talking to a bank. Everything that we've created from our first course until now is what you'll take to a bank and look for money. If you have enough startup capital and you're just buying a lawnmower and you're just mowing lawns and you're able to do it, maybe you have a second job, whatever it is, then this is just going to give you an idea of what your revenue, your expenses, your cash flow, all of that is going to be over the months, and what in theory your profit and loss should be for the first year. So this will give you a good idea if your service prices are high enough, if you need more customers, if you need to do less advertising, it will kind of help point at some of the major holes in your budget if you've missed a large expense or you've missed that you don't have near enough customers to make, as when I first put it in and I only had 2 and 2, obviously that wasn't enough money to cover the startup costs and the operating costs that I had with all my expensive advertising. So found out I needed a lot more clients per month, right? So it gives you an idea, helps you understand the seasonal business a little bit better as far as your months go. And that even though you have these dips where you're in the hole for these many months, if you're able to produce this kind of revenue for the other months, that you're still going to come out okay. All right. So fill this all out, make sure you get it done, and then we'll move on to the executive summary. Executive summary is kind of a longer course. It's kind of taking everything and putting it together, but that's going to help us understand everything we need for our business. It's going to be the final building block before we start making big progress, where we really start opening the doors, making business, making money, doing all the big stuff. So one more big step, one more class of worksheets and nonsense, and then we get to the fun stuff, get to actually running a company and doing everything we need to do. If you have any questions, as always, DM me, put it in the comments, go to the group discussions. We'll cover all this. Other than that, have a great day and we'll see you soon.